Welcome back, rankers. Big week in Australia this week. One of our major publishers, Fairfax News, has announced that they're shrinking their paper, or their two papers, and that they're also going to be sacking about 1,900 staff over a 3-year period. And this has been happening for a while, ever since classified advertising kind of just disappeared out of their newspapers. They used to call the classified business at Fairfax the rivers of gold. Unfortunately, it's kind of like the creeks of silver at the moment, apparently. So, but, it's not like anyone didn't tell them. And, newspaper men have been getting the internet wrong for quite some time now. I mean, in the year 2000, Rupert Murdoch himself, at the AGM of News Limited, said that the internet was unlikely to make terribly much revenue. And look at them today. They're doing a lot online. And they moved to a digital paywall. Well, now Fairfax is talking about doing the same, putting up a digital paywall for some of their content. Will it work? Probably. Am I going to buy it? No. Because I like to get my news from a range of different sources. And Fairfax will be putting up a digital paywall. It's not clear yet what that content will be that they'll be putting behind that paywall. But the News Limited did it here in Australia, and according to them, it's been quite successful to them. And let's face it, you've got less printing costs, you've got less distribution costs, you've got a lot less costs by using a paywall than what you have if you were trying to get a newspaper out there. I mean, I just find the idea of a newspaper these days just an insane concept. And thankfully, our communications minister has come out and said that, he's come out with some really good advice. And one of the pieces of advice is that, and this was this week. In fact, yesterday, Senator Conroy was quoted as saying this. It's disappointing to hear about the 1,900 job cuts, but that, many sectors were being cannibalised by the internet. And, wait for it, pearls of wisdom, you have to start preparing for the net. It's 2012. Sorry. I don't get upset about terribly many things, but I get upset about this last clown because he's the guy who wants to censor the internet in Australia, and the plans are still on the table to censor the internet in Australia, and he hasn't backed away from that. But anyway, that's what's happening in Australia with the print media. But I just find the concept of having a big paper thing that I can't search through and I have to look at. I mean, we used to say that, okay, maybe the one thing that newspapers have over, say, just searching for news on the internet was that you've got the element of discovery, because you turn a page and you see, oh, look at that story. But now there are so many more ways to discover content by having other people curate it for you in all sorts of apps, in different sites, and it's all brought together for you, and you get that element of discovery now. And now it's still content that's still written by journalists, but they have to evolve about how they're going to make money from these environments. And one of the things that I've seen with newspapers online, and I see it with other big media online, is they don't engage with their readers. Like, I don't know if it's an arrogance or what it is, but for some reason, they've still got this sort of mentality, we'll only talk to who we choose to talk to, because we're the media. And, if we don't choose to talk to you, even though you're talking to us, well, too bad. But, I mean, for instance, go and have a look at this. Sydney Morning Herald. This is a Fairfax publication. And we go and have a look at, say, this article here. Now, what's the first thing that I see? Well, the first thing that I see is that something is about to autoplay, and it's a video, and I'm in an office, and it's my bandwidth, and I get really off when sites do that to me. So what's the first thing I'm going to do? I'm going to hit the back button. So if you're going to do that to the digital paywall people, forget it. They're not going to sign on. To the Herald Sun, which is the News Limited publication, the other daily in Melbourne that's gone to a digital paywall, to their credit, they do not do autoplay videos. And Fairfax does them. And the reason that I say that, we have to do them, because we need the ad revenue. It's like, well, you're treating your users with disdain and contempt. And have a look at this. big column, big bit of op-ed in the this Fairfax mag this morning. Once again, we got the auto load video, and you have this columnist John Birmingham talking about what's happening in Fairfax and why it's happening. And look at this, 396 comments. Now I've been through most of these comments, and I have not seen one response from a Fairfax staffer. I just don't understand it. It's like they believe that we're the big masthead, you're the little people, and we'll decide. Yeah, you can publish, you can write a comment, we'll moderate it, and we'll decide whether to put it up, but we won't respond to you. And I think that model of big media doing those sorts of things, it's got to die, surely, because, dare I say, it's about engagement. And even for me, as annoying as I find pop-ups and those sorts of things on sites, there's no incentive for me here, or a call to action for me here, to join Fairfax in some way so they can help build the list. And if you're in marketing, if you're online marketing, and I'm sorry, but if you're a publisher, you are in online marketing, or else you do not have a business unless you're doing it as a hobby. Where's the call to action to get me to somehow get involved with this publication? There isn't. I've got a little sign-up thing up there, and there's a thing that says, hi there, if you come back. But there's no incentive for me. And I think the other thing that our old version of newspapers need to do in the future is that if you're going to take advertising dollars from me, you better do a lot more for me than say what Google's going to do for me, or else I'll just go with Google. So I better get better results. I better get better click-throughs. I better get, better conversions with your advertising. I mean, I know you've got Google ads all over your content anyway, but why not help sell my products? Why not do joint ventures with your advertisers? Anyway, they're just my thoughts, but I'd love to know what your thoughts are of The Age and the Sydney Morning Herald. If you're in Australia, going to a tabloid version and going to an online digital paywall version, and whether you think that will help. I haven't read by the way, and I've said this before, and I know a few people got upset. I said I have the Age newspaper on a Saturday during the football season, because the football ground I go to here in Melbourne, if the football's on a Saturday, they'll give me a free copy of The Age, which I gratefully accept. I never read it. I take it home to use to start my evening fire. And that's true. I'm not being funny. It's great. It's like my wife actually goes out and looks for local papers that aren't being used just at shopping centres. She sticks them under her arm and takes them home to light the fire with as well. Newspapers are dead. Seriously, get over it. I took a poll here of our staff, about 10 staff members, all under the age of 30. Hands up here who's ever bought a newspaper. No one has ever bought a newspaper. That is the future of newspapers. And that's it for this week. We'll see you next week. Bye.